Hello, this is Rebecca Perry, and this is my mentor response video 7.2. So I met with my mentor, Catherine Young, today, which is March the 4th. We met for about 2.5 hours at her house. We both had to have our children with us today, so it took a little bit longer to get through the information that we wanted to discuss. However, we still had a great time together, and the children did well together as well. We discussed Henry Nouwen's book. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. A lot of things that I've always heard and known about, but just the way that he wrote about them really spoke to my heart, and the Lord truly convicted me with this book. The part that stood out to me the most was in the third section of the book, leading to being led, is the idea of downward mobility. And that just really has stuck in my heart, of this idea of the greater our relationship becomes with the Lord, the deeper it goes, the more we're going to be reliant upon Him. And how opposite that is to almost every part of our culture, from just secular culture, but also within the pastoral world. It's counterculture. And I just really began to feel convicted through this book of what the Lord was saying to me. That the whole way through the book is this underlying tone of a correction of our pride. And before reading the book, I would have never classified myself as someone prideful, I guess. But I realized that it's so a part of my life. And how much need His help in this area, and to be just so reliant upon Him. I don't know, the picture that keeps staying in my mind is how he describes of an older person, being led around. And we've been dealing with in-laws and older people in our church that have needed to be led around, and that picture of that kind of dependence and reliance upon the Lord is really sticking with me. And so Catherine and I discussed this about pride, and we both were kind of sharing different things that in our life, just even recently, of how that has stood out, of the amount of pride that we have in our life, that you think that you're being relevant, or you think you're well liked, and so these are things that are helpful and good in your ministry. But then when you really begin to strip all that down, it's just about me, and that's not what the Lord wants for us. And this idea too, what we also discussed, of loving people, and how it's so much easier, as Nouwen says, to choose power over love. And we discussed about how, when you're walking with somebody through their hurt or their mess, their problem, whatever they're dealing with, how often do we give them our advice and then send them on their way? And that just leaves our mind, and we don't carry along with Him. And how Nouwen is encouraging us to get in there and get dirty, like messy. Life is messy with people, and really love people through their hurt, till they've learned what the Lord's trying to teach them, or they've, got to where the Lord's wanting them. And how counterculture that is within our Christian circles, our pastoral circles. We're almost encouraged not to do those things. And so trying to find this tension between, you know, protecting yourself, giving your boundaries, and just loving people through their hurt. So now it has given me much to think about, and we've both talked about this, and really looking forward to how this is going to take root and make changes and improve my life. Thanks so much.